As the world grappled with the coronavirus, Asian Americans found themselves fighting an additional crisis this past year, a rise in racially motivated attacks.
Stop Asian hate! Love Asian people!
The harassment hit Team USA karate Olympian Sakura Kokumai,
You're a loser. Go home. Loser, go home, stupid.
who was training in a Southern California park.
When he walked closer, that's where I did get scared a little bit because you just never know what could happen.
Her case, one of many.
They started hurling racial insults. They started calling me Chinese virus.
Get out of our country! Get out!
He's like, communist China?
Oh, isn't that where you're from?
But when the images of Asian American elders being slashed, beaten, even killed in broad daylight began flooding social media,
If you see one of our sisters and brothers in need, will you help us?
the hashtag Stop Asian Hate prompted new attention.
To see people like my parents who have given their lives to this country and to see that this is the reward for their hard work, for putting their heads down and believing in the American dream is hard.
Now, a new generation rising up.
Stop Asian hate!
High school students Daisy Kemp, Amanda Koo, and Jason Shan organizing for the first time.
Enough is enough. We have to stop this.
The people that were being attacked just looked like people that could be in my family or like my relatives.
We hear about racism. We hear about a lot of hate in the news, but then all of a sudden it's kind of your community. You're being brought into this problem and you think, I should do something about it. I should have done something about it long ago.
Stop Asian hate!
More than 300 people came together in Mountain View, California to stop Asian hate. The Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism found anti-Asian hate crimes reported to police rose nearly 190% in the first quarter of 2021 compared to the same time last year. Stop AAPI Hate reported more than 6,600 incidents in just 1 year. Anti-Asian sentiment has deep roots in history, according to Mei Nai, a professor of Asian American Studies at Columbia University.
And the whole history of immigration policy towards Asians has its origins in the Chinese Exclusion Act, which said Chinese could not enter this country. They could never be Americans.
How much has that sentiment lingered?
A lot of that lingers. There's still this lingering idea that Asians don't belong here.
It is a strange phenomenon for a lot of Asians to go from being invisible to hyper-visible. Explain that.
Well, a lot of us are taught to be quiet and keep our heads down. And now I think people realize that our lives matter and we have to say something about it and we have to speak up.
I'm Michelle Cal.
I'm CJ Hibbert.
Michelle and CJ are students at Brooklyn Tech in New York. They met after Michelle's teacher suggested she reach out for Black and Gold solidarity.
You're president of the Black Student Union.
Yes.
Why is it so important for all of these students from these backgrounds to come together?
We are all diverse and we all have our intersectionalities and all of them matter. And we live in a society that can at times demean those and they can vilify us for those differences that we all have.
Michelle, what did your parents think when you said, I want to start organizing, I want to be an activist?
My parents were like, bruh, stop. Literally, they're like, what's the point, you know? And that really made me so angry. We can't only care about us because the issue about racial justice isn't about one community. It's about all of us coming together.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Asian lives matter! Asian lives matter!
Using movement to fuel a movement. Coffee co-founded the group Running to Protest after the murder of George Floyd.
We're basically using our platform to bring the community together.
Hundreds now gather one Sunday a month to call attention to injustice.
When everything went down last summer, 2020, I saw some of the Asian community out there for us. And it was only right for us to do the exact same.
This year, as anti-Asian violence started to rise, Coffee joined with longtime friend and fashion designer Dowie Chow. They organized the first Black and Gold Solidarity Run in March.
I think running is the perfect metaphor for activism, right? As a runner, we cover so much ground. We're always in the street.
Hours after the flyer went out about the run, news broke of the Atlanta spa shootings.
Tonight, we're learning more about the 8 victims. 6 of them are of Asian descent.
For many Asian Americans, the tragedy was a tipping point, hitting after months of violence against the community. Days later, 2,000 people showed up for running to protest.
We come together as a community today in fear, in anguish, in outrage, in terror, but more importantly, in support of one another.
For a lot of people outside, maybe New York or a diverse community, they don't see that a lot. They don't see Black and Asian solidarity. Why is it important for you to come together and say these two communities can support each other and should support each other?
At the end of the day, we're all going to go through the same thing, right? I remember my grandfather told me, regardless on what color you are, everybody bleeds the exact same color, which is red.
There's a long history of sort of division between the two communities.
How do you overcome that division?
I think the way that you overcome it is to have, conversations about what are the causes of those divisions. There needs to be sort of a reckoning within the Asian community that there is sort of anti-Blackness that exists from generation to generation. And so, we have to address that head on. We have to be honest about it. We have to educate our kids about it.
Activating not only through education and our voices, but money too.
Support the companies and businesses that you know are aligned with your belief system.
Debbie Sue was named the CEO of Open Table last year. It's an online restaurant reservation service.
What was your own experience recently with anti-Asian hate?
A few weeks ago, I was in a New Hampshire grocery store and someone behind me in line was glaring at me and then said, "You don't belong here."
Even now in 2021, even as the CEO of a major company?
Yes, even now. No one knows that I'm the CEO of Open Table. No one knows that I went to Stanford or MIT. When I walk into a grocery store, I am just an Asian woman. I'm the other. In some people's eyes, perhaps I don't belong.
Debbie joined thousands of Asian American business leaders and allies who collectively pledged $10 million to support Asian American community groups.
Activism isn't just about picketing and marching. It's about practicing allyship. It's about speaking up when you see something that doesn't seem right or feel right.
And with ongoing violence targeting Asian Americans coast to coast, in New York City alone, police have recorded at least 40 incidents in the first 3 months of this year.
One snap kick, and then hammer fist. Good.
Activism also taking the form of agency as Asian Americans turn to self-defense training to protect themselves and their families. The Chinese Hawaiian Kenpo Academy offered free courses helping people find confidence and community.
You're taking a walk outside, you carry your water bottle, and this can go the other way too, right? So we can go down.
Assistant instructor Kong Dao and program director Jane Ray showed how everyday items like a phone or water bottle can help someone escape an attack.
She's using her phone and I'm approaching her, right? And you notice that she's using the phone and she goes for the soft part of my body, which is the throat.
Right.
She's using her whole body. She's not just using her arm, right? Because she wants to have a lot of power.
They encourage bystanders to be prepared too. In many cases, just yelling or calling attention to what's happening can stop an attack.
What do you think when you see the activism that's happening right now?
I'm really encouraged. I'm really encouraged by the young people, by high school students, college students, young adults, getting out there and speaking out. And I'm really encouraged by the solidarities that are being shown in our community with other people of color.
Now the next generation building on that history.
We're in the position that we are because of the generation before us, because of our parents and the sacrifices that they made.
Rising together, activists combating hate and using their power to stand together against racism.
make a movement, make change, we can be the ones who go out to help other youths be empowered, to lift them up.
It's really easy to feel like you can't do anything as a young person. Seeing other young people around me making changes in their own community, no matter how big or how small, has been really inspiring for me.
My generation is the next generation. We're going to be the next lawmakers, senators, the next politicians and doctors. If we want to see the change that we're advocating for right now, we have to start it young.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.